Hey friends in the internet, welcome to my channel. My name's Alyssa and today we're going to be talking about flying with a baby. I just recently experienced this. My baby's 19 months old. It was an experience, that's for sure. There were a few hiccups along the way, but it could have been a lot worse. So I just want to share my experience with you in the hopes that maybe it'll help your experience be a little bit better. I flew home to North Carolina, to my parents' home from Montana, and what it ended up being is two 2-hour flights with one layover in between. I got some really good advice from a lot of different people, so thank you if you were one of those moms that contributed to my sanity. So this is Spencer's little backpack. It's one of those yeah, and I play with it more than she does, honestly. But she really likes wearing her backpack. It makes her feel important. So I thought, I'll put her stuff in this backpack. Let me tell you something, I ended up carrying the backpack. So just PSA, maybe don't expect your kids to carry anything because it's gonna end up in your bag anyways. And if you haven't planned for the space, it'll make things a little bit more difficult. So I went to the dollar store before our trip and picked up a composition notebook for her to color in. Artist. The other thing that I picked up from the dollar store were tons of stickers. And when I say this is a lifesaver with little kids, I mean it. Like, I've used it after flying now to distract her for anything. Like if she's having a hard time in the car, pass her some stickers, you know? It's been really awesome. I also kept her crayons in here, which I also got from the dollar store. And then there's tons of room in this bag, so I also put a few bags of fruit snacks in here too. So this is my diaper bag. It's pretty hefty. Like it's got some pretty good space in it, and it was packed. If you're trying to decide between like a smaller bag or a bigger bag, go with the bigger bag as long as you can keep it under the seat in front of you, because you're still going to want to be able to access it. I made sure to have plenty of diapers and wipes. I mean, that's kind of a given, but also you might think, oh, I only need, a few diapers. I would just over prepare a little bit. You don't want to overstock yourself too crazy much, but kids have accidents, not just the bathroom kind. They could spill something on themselves, sit in something. There's a lot of different things that can happen. So another piece of advice that someone gave me that actually came in super handy was to pack an extra outfit for your kid in a Ziploc bag. And the reason for the Ziploc bag is that if your kid were to make a huge mess or throw up, you take their clothes off, put their new clothes on, and then seal this, and it's not bouncing around on the inside of your diaper bag, getting vomit or whatever else. Kids are kind of gross, guys. This actually came in handy. I'll tell you that story in just a minute. Another thing that I really wish I would have brought was the same thing, but with a shirt for me. But I didn't do that. If you have some kind of tablet or something like this that you can give to your kid to watch shows on, awesome. I also bought these little headphones from Walmart. I think they were close to $12, $13, $15, somewhere in that range. But they fold up pretty small, just in the electronics department. And this was not successful. I could see this working for maybe a little bit of an older kid, but Spencer really when she had it on, it bothered her to have it sitting on her ears. Even with the volume turned way down, it was more just the feeling of having something on her head. We ended up turning on Chicken Run. They had Chicken Run on the TVs that are attached to the back of the chairs. And she just watched that, and I was telling her about the movie as we watched it since she couldn't hear it. I think this would be a great idea for a kid if you know that they'll keep them on. A tip for putting movies on your devices. So I downloaded a few different shows and then a couple movies. It helps the time pass, and if you don't let your kid just zombie out to movies all day, every day anyways, a few hours in one day isn't gonna hurt, and it'll probably save your sanity. Just saying. I'm not gonna judge you for it, but something you should know about those downloaded movies. I downloaded them, we used a few of them. They only last 2 days. Once you play them, they get deleted off of your device. And I didn't realize that. And so during my second leg of my trip, when I was going home, I realized that none of the shows that I downloaded would play anymore because it had expired. So don't forget to re-download your shows back onto your devices before you leave again, or your kid will not have anything to watch and you won't realize it until you're already flying. Something else is making sure that you have a water bottle. Just make sure it's empty when you go through security and then fill it up afterwards. Something that typically like bothers kids is during takeoff and touchdown, that popping, the pressure in your ears. And something that helps relieve that is like sucking or yawning, obviously. But if you have a younger kid, that's not really something you can communicate to them. So I just had her sip on her drink. And then someone else gave me the best advice. They said to get a sucker, but not any sucker. Get the Smarties suckers because they're powdery instead of sticky. Genius. The only problem is that I couldn't find them anywhere. And since this trip was kind of a last minute, unexpected trip, I hadn't ordered them online or anything, but I definitely think that's a really good idea. A really good idea. So Smarties suckers, look it up. Or when we went, Roan actually was flying out to go to a work site for his job at the same time. We had flights maybe like a half an hour apart. So it was super convenient because he helped me get all of my luggage into the airport. So if you have someone who can help you actually physically go into the airport until you can check your luggage, that would be a huge help if you're flying alone with a baby, because it's so much to hold on to. It just felt like a lot. I had one checked bag. I had her stroller, one of those little umbrella strollers. I had my bag and then her little backpack. Something else that I made sure to have was a baby carrier. And I honestly used that a lot more than I used my umbrella stroller. It just kind of depends, I think, on what your situation is. If you have more than one kid, you probably need a stroller. Definitely use the pre-boarding. Like when they say, anybody who has kids or needs a little bit extra time getting on the plane, do that, because you're going to have a lot of crap with you. It was really nice to be able to get settled before anyone was like standing in line behind me and I was feeling pressured to like go. And something that I wasn't told is that you can have them take your stroller, like you leave it right before the door of the airplane and they'll put it below for you and then bring it back up. So then you can grab it on your way back out. But for me, I ended up having to store my stroller in the overhead bin because they didn't tell me that on the first flight. On the rest of the flights, they were like, oh, we can put that below for you. And here's this little tag for it. And I was like, this is amazing. So much better. I was flying Delta and they were super, super nice and really great about moving my seat around. If I got there early enough and just said, hey, can I have a window seat? It's so much easier to have a window seat with a baby because you can kind of like keep them in. I would just suggest if you want any like help with your seating, you can talk to them. Or something I discovered on the second leg of my trip, I flew Delta, and if you download their app, you can actually change your seat before you ever get on the plane. So you go onto the app, go to your flight that's planned, and then you click on your seat number, and it'll say show seating chart, and it'll pull it up and show you where you can move your seat. So what I've done for all of my flights since I figured that out was I'd click on that seat and be like, middle seat, no. And then I'd click myself over to a window. Some people have said that it's easier to be closer to a bathroom. So to try and get a seat like near the back, near the bathroom, so that if you need to take your kid to the bathroom, then you can. Spencer's still in diapers, so I didn't have to worry about that, but that's a really good point. If you're flying with an infant in arms, it's free until they're 2 years old. After that, you have to buy them their own seat. This is with Delta Airlines. I'm not an expert on anything. This is just my experience with Delta. When I bought my ticket, it says if you want to fly with infant in arms, you need to call and notify them that you're going to have infant in arms. And I didn't have time to do that because the hold time on the call was 5 hours long. Who has 5 hours to be on the phone? It's ridiculous. Instead, the day of, when I checked my bag, I just let them know that I had infant in arms. And I made sure to bring her birth certificate to prove to them her age. That it was not a problem. They added her onto the rest of my tickets for the trip. So that's also a really important step that you need to take if you're doing infant in arms instead of buying a child seat. My first flight was in the afternoon and we got there in the evening. And when we got to North Carolina, it was about 12 o'clock there, but Montana time, it was only about 10 o'clock. So Spencer was up way past her bedtime, but still it wasn't like she was deliriously tired. She was still pretty happy. And she was able to have her nap before we went on our 1 o'clock flight. On the second part of our trip, when we were flying back home from North Carolina to Montana, it was like a 3 o'clock in the afternoon flight, North Carolina time. And by the time we got all the way home to Montana, it was 1 in the morning. It was so late. And I don't ever want to do that again. I think that Spencer does so much better missing her nap time and having a long day than missing her bedtime and having a super late night. There was so much turbulence getting into Missoula. It was about 20 minutes until we touched down and we were just bouncing all over the place. She threw up all over me. I had put her in her carrier because it was super late and I thought this is probably the only way that she's gonna fall asleep is if I have her strapped to me. And when she threw up down my shirt. So, and none of it got on the plane. Hooray for the Delta people. But it was all over me and all over her, and we both smelled like vomit, and we ended up having to circle the airport for another 30 minutes because something was going on with the traffic. This was a good idea, whoever it was that told me about this. I really wish I would have packed a shirt for myself too, because what ended up happening was I drove home smelling like vomit. It was great. But you know what? Everybody around us was so nice and the flight attendants were amazing. I was super stressed about flying with a kid because I didn't want people to be upset with me if she cried or to be upset with her or to feel like their flight was like ruined because of us. But honestly, like if people have kids, they know that it's hard for them and they know that it's even harder for you as the parent. So if anybody's going to be a butthole to you about it, then they probably don't have kids or they're probably just a really unhappy person and just ignore them. No one was mean to me. You just got to do it. If you've got to do it, you've got to do it. So you just got to get through it. And the thing is, you're probably never going to see any of those people on that plane ever again. And if you do, I very much doubt that they'll remember that you're the person with the kid who cried or the kid who threw up all over you and themselves. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get everywhere and do everything that you need to do, and don't stress out too much about it. Just do your best, and the people around you are going to know that like traveling with a kid is hard. That's just my 2 cents. No one asked, but there it is. It's just a day of traveling and you'll get through it and your kid will be fine. Thanks for watching this video. If you're new to my channel, I post videos usually every Wednesday and sometimes a little bit more often than that. I live in Montana. We do a lot of adventurous things and I like to record them and share them with people. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'd love to respond to you and talk to you. Let's be friends. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. And if you'd like to support my channel, that would be awesome and I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching and good luck on your next trip. See ya. Our plane wasn't big enough for me to have the stroller open on it. So that made it pretty difficult for us to get on and off the plane. So this time we strapped her to us. Just using that. It seriously is so hard to get off of those planes with all of your stuff. Spencer did so good, huh? Do you want to go fly again?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What? We made it. Pretty much as soon as we started that flight, she woke right up and was awake the entire time, but she was super good again. She's definitely very tired. Say hi.
Hello.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
We're gonna go to Grandma and Grandpa's house. It's a helpful tip for anybody flying with their own car seat. If you have any detachable parts, detach them before they're thrown through luggage and stuff, because I thought I just missed a cup holder from my car seat, but we're not missing one. It just was inside the little, like, this is actually a laundry bag, but it was bopping around in there, so that's a nice relief.